Hi, good afternoon. Today we're going to be presenting about our product, Qbell. I'm Steph Wilson, a nursing student.
I'm Teresa Fulich, a nursing student as well. We also have Adriana Canelos and Renee Vigneault, who are also nursing students as well.
And my name is Jeremy Arzuega, and I'm a computer science student. And this is Vivian, and we have another one, Gao. She's a business and marketing student.
So how many of you have ever been to a hospital and felt overwhelmed by the number of alarms going off? Anyone? So nurses work in this environment on a daily basis, which puts them at an increased risk for developing alarm fatigue. And alarm fatigue is defined as the desensitization to frequent alarms. We found that nurses who experience this are 3 times more likely to make a mistake, such as a medication error. So this could be the wrong med, the wrong dose, the wrong route, and any of these could be potentially fatal to a patient. Alarm fatigue can also cause delayed interventions and decreased patient satisfaction. And all this compromises patient safety. It also hurts the nurse in the facility. So the nursing students work in hospitals in the area. We conducted our own survey. We interviewed 68 participants. They were nurses and nursing aides, and we found that most of them experience alarm fatigue. They have problems prioritizing care. They feel overwhelmed by the number of lights, and they're distracted by the lights. Right now, the Qbell system in hospitals, we believe is flawed. So right here is a picture of the remote. This is the TV remote, and this small red button is how patients call for help. So it's not user-friendly for all of our patients. It does not tell nurses or aides what the patient needs. It doesn't help them prioritize care, and frankly, we think it's out-of-date technology.
Our solution is a mobile application. So here we have a login screen, so this will help keep the data protected. So the nurse can the patient can choose from various requests, from pain to requesting help taking a shower. And we have an example on the right. This is a sliding scale, so the patient can use the sliding scale to rank their pain, and then they can also send an additional comment to the nurse with additional details. And for patients that aren't able to interact with the touchscreen, we would have integration with Amazon Alexa. So the nurse's view, she's presented with a prioritized list, and this list is generated based on what the patients are requesting, and it's ranked based on the significance of the request. And the nurse can reply back to the patient saying that they're on their way or that they need additional help from other medical staff. And finally, she has a history of all the actions that she's completed throughout the day, so she can easily go back and reference it for documentation. So our system is user-friendly. It prioritizes requests, which is similar to our competitors, but the advantages to our system is that it's a cross-platform application, so it runs on Android and iOS. And we have multi-language support and voice integration, so patients can use a language that they're most comfortable in. And we also have a market analysis that we have, and we can show that to you during the Q&A.
So what's in it for our patients and nurses? First off, it's better patient-caregiver communication. Oftentimes patients come into the room and they say, oh, you haven't listened to my request, and they're like, I've been ignored. So you don't want to ignore patients. You want them to know that you're responding to them as well. So it's more efficient as well because you don't have to walk into the room first and ask them, hey, what do you need, and then walk back out. So it increases their patient satisfaction overall. And then patient satisfaction is actually huge for hospitals because of the HCAP survey right there. HCAPS is a patient satisfaction survey that is responsible for hospitals' determination of their Medicaid and Medicare reimbursement, which is huge funding for hospitals. So it also decreases the fatigue for caregivers. So your caregivers aren't going to make mistakes. They're going to focus more on their patients, and they're going to pay much more attention to them as well. It also decreases supply wasting. If you have a patient on precautions, then you have to gown up and wear like a gown and a mask. Say if they have the flu or tuberculosis, some type of infection, you have to gown up just to walk into the room and talk to them, and then to come back out just to take all of that stuff off again. And so for our trialing, we would do it in a local hospital, hopefully Lowell General if we could. We'd have 2 nurse devices and 10 patient devices. It'd be about $2,000 for that. And then we'd have $1,000 for user study and marketing in the hospital, $600 for entity formation, so $100 just to get an LLC, and then $500 annually after that, and then $1,000 for a provisional patent because this idea is so new. So thank you for listening, and we are available to answer all of your questions.
Right on time. So, general question, is this
an application that runs in the cloud or runs at the hospital? Because you kept referring to the individual nurse, and so is it associated with like a nursing station or a hospital or a floor?
So all the infrastructure would all be in the hospital. It wouldn't run in the cloud. That would be more secure, I feel. So every nurse would have a device, and then every patient bed would have a device. So the hospitals will actually provide buy the devices, and they are associated with the beds.
Like an iPad or something?
Yep, if they chose to go the iPad route, they could do that. They can also get like a cheaper, it's called a Raspberry Pi, and it's a small microcontroller. So that will save on cost, but if they're willing to pay big money for iPads, then they could.
I have a lot of experience in this. I actually sold a company that we did nurse call systems. So the nurse call system is tied to a wall so that it's actually, so this device would have to be stabilized somehow onto the bed, right? Because you got to be able to access it, and it's got to be able to be reached and moved around. Because like you said, it also controls the TV. So if the app would control the TV also, or would you have a separate?
So we were planning that, yeah, the app could control the TV, but that we could also have another device. But it would probably be better to have it all in one.
Like
So better
generally in the prototype right now, we do have a TV option, but then we wanted to make it like just for turning on and off or volume up and down instead of changing channels.
Okay.
Yeah, but we could put it into our applications if it's necessary.
And so from a compliance standpoint, so if a hospital is running on whatever software they're running, Meditech or Epic or whatever, your software will integrate with that? Because there's multiple products that are out there that hospitals use.
Right.
Right? Or is this an add-on product that'll
They
just?
had an IT integration fee, so
Yeah. So
whoever came up with that,
Yeah.
that's
so we
right.
could integrate it with
Yeah.
the existing EMRs,
Mhm.
and that would allow patient data to flow into the application, and then we could I guess all the requests could be kept track of in the EMR as well.
So I had a question. So you had shown two other, it looks like comparable products. Do you have any idea? I know yours has a number of improved features, but just out of curiosity, do you know how much use those other two applications get in the hospitals, and sort of how easy would it be to implement this type of new system?
So we have the cost range. I know this is the one that is generally in hospitals, the rolling forward responder and ASCOM as well. And I know those are used just a lot. Common Tap is less known, but it has been used in VA hospitals before as well.
There's actually another slide on the competitors. And the cost range is basically the app is free, but then there's more networking behind that, so it's not completely cost free. So.
Yeah.
One observation I had is I like the whole application, and showing us this research is good. It's very unique. I would suggest that you need to, in the future, just punch up a little bit on you're selling to, who's your customer? The customer is the hospital, and they're notorious for not spending a cent for anything. You can vouch for that probably.
Well, technology-wise, they are spending a lot of money now. I mean, they all need to be up to snuff. It's changed probably in the last 5 years. The hospitals are spending a ton of money. Almost all of them are moving from the older software to the Epic seems to be controlling the market right now, and a lot of the local hospitals have moved towards it, and that is huge money. And they've spent millions and millions. So the software, and they all have Blackberries. I mean, not Blackberries. iPads and tablets. The nurses all have them now, so if you could integrate with that, that seems like it would make a lot of sense, because I think they already have that stuff.
So I was going to suggest that you need to identify some of the costs in those bullets that you had earlier on, when you talk about the stress with the nurses, I would say nurse retention. So you can throw in cost about, how much does it cost to train a nurse to get them up to speed on your staff, because hospitals are big on nurse retention, so you can put dollars on that. The whole compliance piece on the safety and customer satisfaction, that's excellent, but you need to put a cost on that, because I think ultimately what you're trying to do is show them that here's all the savings associated with this product, and it's a no-brainer.
And I think your other big thing is that you can control, so with the nurse call system, there's no way to track all the history of what was said. So like if I hit the button, it just goes back to the nurse, the nursing station, but there's no data saved. With yours, they'll say they were looking to get into the shower at this time, and hospitals are huge about Big Brother knowing everything that's going on everywhere. So I think that I would play off of that you're gonna be able to give them tremendous insight into what's actually happening and what the requests are. So they can go, oh, well in this month we had all these requests for showers that we would have thought were emergencies before, or we would have had to respond to. Now we know this, and they'd be the only hospital really with that data. And then they could say, hey, and then that would help sell your product, because to me that's, the hospitals nowadays, it's sad, but doctors don't need to think anymore. It's all done for them. That's what this new software does. So they can't really think outside the box. So you're giving them even more data to say, okay, this is exactly what happens all day long. We get all these people doing these things. And to me, that would be one of the big things I'd push with your product. How far along are you with it? Have you built the?
Just a prototype.
Yeah.
Yeah, very basic. So these are actually a couple of slides back. We actually competed in the hackathon a couple months ago, and we were able to spin up a simple prototype.
Just a logistics question is, so each shift this has to be initialized for whoever, the nurses that do show up, or the staff that does show up on that day, and so who's, in your big picture, who does that? Who initializes this?
Oh, that would be automated.
Yeah, it'd kind of be like the secretaries. I know currently what they do is like they'll assign patients to the nurses in the system.
So you'd have the floor admin do
the
that.
floor math.
And they log in anyways though, so everything's tracked at every move they make, what hallway they're in, where they are, they're wearing RFID sensors, they got every type of technology on them. So they know exactly what they're doing, so it's easy. The integration of that part is simple, because it's gonna automatically sync up with all the other systems. So, and then this wouldn't tie into the phone system at all though. That's what the nurse call systems do.
Yeah, so I actually spoke to a couple nurses, and I'm sure our nursing students can vouch for it. They actually don't like the direct communication because they find it distracting, especially when they're like trying to give meds and focus on something else that's very important. It's just a distraction. So I think maybe they could have maybe a pre-recorded type of situation where the patient can kind of just speak their request, and then the nurse can listen to it when she's ready.
Actually, that brought up a question I had earlier. And I really like the system, but it's about the nurse replying. So when the patients are sending all these, I need a shower, I need this or that, you did have one screenshot of the nurse sending them something back. Nursing students, do you want to do that, or is that a distraction, or is that going to be a?
I think that it would help, especially when patients hit the call light and you're busy and you won't be there for 5 or 10 minutes. We found just even going in there and be like, I can help you, just give me 5 minutes. It shows the patient that you're there and you care and that you'll get to them, they're not being ignored. So
you're
I
not
like
worried
it
that
to
that
be
wouldn't be a distraction.
a fast click.
Okay.
Right.
Definitely, I think it would help because a lot of times they're like, oh, I'm being ignored.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm not ignoring you.
I saw it,
with
I just
somewhere
couldn't
else.
mention- okay.
Exactly.
Got it.
So.
You've got $1,000 in your budget for a provisional patent application, which I don't know how much you folks have looked into patenting, but a few points for you, just by way of background, I am a patent attorney. So, I guess a couple of things. First, you've got a lot of competitors, and to be patentable, you have to have a new and useful improvement. So you need to distinguish yourselves, bring something completely new to the table, something that's absolutely novel, people haven't seen it before, right? So you need to think about that in view of your competitors. And the patent office can actually, of course, make combinations of references when they examine patentability. Provisional patent, you won't get there, they don't examine provisional patents. But I think you're in a crowded area, and the law has also changed in this area as well. Software patents aren't what they used to be, and you need to look at a bigger picture beyond perhaps more of your system level type of stuff. I think your $1,000 estimate's low. All right, and be prepared to put a lot of information in there. So I think
You
we
think
can do
it's
that.
10x low? Or do
Well,
you
for
think it's 10,000?
provisional, no, but the bottom line is to, you do need to put a lot of information, and provisional, you can file provisional with just, I mean, you can put a cover sheet on a PowerPoint presentation and file it as a provisional, all right? I can give you more information on that later. if
The
you
other
want.
thing you have to understand about hospitals, and this is probably the thing that's gonna hurt you the most, is they are so risk adverse, it's ridiculous. So getting that first one is gonna be the hardest possible thing, because they're gonna go with one of the manufacturers that they know and is proven, and they won't take the risk. So if you can maybe try, just as a suggestion, maybe a nursing home, where there's Boston Healthcare for the homeless in Boston. They have less of a budget, they might be willing to take a chance on something like this. Someone like that, but going after Lowell General, it's part of a bigger conglomerate, and it's gonna be very, very difficult to penetrate into there. Just from my experience, and I know people who work there, and I don't think I can penetrate that hospital. So just being realistic with you.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
of course.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
guys.
much. All right.
Great job,
Great
guys.
job.